What's up, fellas? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve and this is Tech Teardown. Now today in this video I'm going to go over just some PC part pickers that I'm going over with, trying to pick parts for one of my best friends I've ever had. He's going to be in a future video where we build his computer. But right now he gave me a $600 budget, and I'm just going to say right off the bat I did go over that budget a little bit. I'll go over the reasons when I go over the parts as to why I went over the budget, and I'll give you some options if you're looking to pick some parts for your own computer, what you could do to bring the price down. I will give you reasons as to why I'm not doing that. First off, if you're new here, please consider subscribing, hit the bell, like the video, all of that stuff. If you ever need help with PC building or other technology issues, you can always comment on my videos or find me on Twitter. I'm always here to help. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to the content. I'm gonna switch over to my screen here and show you some of the parts that I have picked, and I'll go over the reasons as to why I picked those parts. All right, so we have here the PC part picker list for the $600 computer. As I said earlier, it is over $600, $682.10 to be precise. There's definitely ways that we can bring it up, or bring it down, I should say, to meet that budget that my friend gave me. But these are parts that are gonna offer great levels of upgradability as well as better performance, some things that I didn't wanna skip out on. Starting off with the processor, we have the Ryzen 5 2600, under $120. And one thing I can note here is that if I'm buying a lot of these parts at Micro Center, and when I pair this with the motherboard, I save $30. So that is great. And then also the graphics card, which I went with, is the Power Color Radeon RX 590 Red Dragon. I know that I can get that for $30 cheaper also at Micro Center. Once we buy some of these parts at Micro Center, which PC Part Picker does not list, we are going to be closer to that $600 price point. Back to the processor, the Ryzen 5 2600, it's a 6-core 12-threaded processor, excellent performance for budget-minded builders. I definitely would love to have him upgraded to a Ryzen 5 3600 eventually, but going with a $600 budget, a Ryzen 5 2600 is unfortunately going to be the way we go. We could have saved even more money, went with a Ryzen 5 1600, but I didn't really want to go that low because I do want him to eventually upgrade to a better graphics card as well down the line. For the motherboard, I went with the ASRock B450M Micro ATX Steel Legend motherboard. I used this motherboard in a previous build with the Ryzen 3200G, and I really liked the motherboard. The BIOS was easy and simple, has a great 4+ 2-phase VRM with a decent heatsink on it. So I did enjoy this motherboard, and I do recommend it. Can you get cheaper motherboards? Definitely. You can get the Gigabyte B450 DS3H motherboard, which is like around $60, so that would save you $30 there. The ASRock B450 Pro 4 is at that same price point, so you can definitely go cheaper on the motherboard, but the VRM quality is going to be a lot less, especially on that Gigabyte motherboard. I would much rather you go with the ASRock one than the Gigabyte one if you're going to go with a lower end motherboard. Now for the RAM, this is probably going to take some of you off here. I did pick Corsair Vengeance LPX 3600 memory, but as you can see, it was only for $75, which is only $5 more than the 3200 speed. I had to go with 3600 because if he does eventually upgrade to that Ryzen 5 3600, he's gonna definitely reap that performance out of that 3600 memory. Now for the storage, this can just go any way. I went with Western Digital Blue because I have experience with the hard drive. 7200 RPM is decent for a storage drive, and if you can afford it, definitely go SSD for your storage. But when you're sticking with a tight budget like $600, this is going to be a decent storage drive for all your games. And then for our boot drive, you have to have an SSD, and the NVMe drives are such great deals right now. I used this ADATA XPG SSD before, and I can say that it worked adequately for the price. This is a 256 gigabyte one, and I really enjoyed it. Has a heatsink built onto it, only $42, so I really like this part here. And then again, we were back to the Power Color RX 590 Red Dragon, 8 gigabytes of memory, $190 on Amazon. It can be bought at Micro Center for $180. Okay, so I was a little wrong on the price. I thought it was $160, but I would save here $10 if I purchase it here at Micro Center. So that's probably what we're going to do. And then for the case, another case I've used previously is the Thermaltake Versa H18. Has perforated fronts for airflow, has support for radiators at the top, a rear exhaust fan, and a power supply shroud, and tempered glass windows. And it's only a $55 case. So this is a great case for the budget-minded people. Micro ATX is an overlooked form factor in computers. I think Paul's Hardware and David Does Tech stuff is just two people that have talked about Micro ATX recently and how it doesn't get any real light. And I have to agree with them. Micro ATX is great form factor for the size. It saves space. And another great thing about Micro ATX is it's typically some of the cheaper options for you in case and motherboard. But also you do have a limited supply in Micro ATX. And then for the power supply, I try to stay away from non-modular power supplies, so I went with a semi-modular power supply from EVGA, their BQ 600 watt. It is 80 plus bronze rated, and it's $65.88. Power supplies are going up in price, so if you can, I would try to look at EVGA's B stock for power supplies to save as much money as possible, because power supply prices are going up quite a bit. So that's the build. As I said, it comes out to $682, and I told you can save some money by going with a lower end motherboard. You can even go with an RX 580 if you like, but I really like the RX 590. I think it's a better deal right now and keeps up with more modern day games better. So that's why I wanted him to go with the RX 590. So there's definitely opportunities for him to save some money in this build if he wanted to, but things like the VRMs and the airflow in the case are very important. I really try to avoid all of those DIY PC cases or any other case that doesn't have good airflow from the front, top to back. Airflow is so important. I try to stay away from any case that's not going to provide ample airflow. And then the reason I went with AMD is it's just such great value right now. And the 2600 comes with a very nice heatsink CPU cooler already installed, so we don't have to worry about buying one. So I do have another PC part picker that I'm going to go over here with you. This is something, if you didn't really give me a budget, these are the parts that I would recommend. So we are staying at AMD Ryzen, the Ryzen 5 3600. And we're gonna, even though it does come with a CPU cooler and the CPU cooler is great, Ryzen does perform much better. At least the 3000 series of Ryzen performs much better with decent cooling. So we're gonna go with Noctua with their new Chromax cooler, the NH-U12S. And I've heard great things about this cooler. And finally, Noctua is getting away from that brown color that they're known for. So I'm super excited to ever use these. This is a $70 cooler. Definitely other cheaper coolers that you can go with, like the Scythe Mugen 5, that would save some money. But Noctua is just such a premium brand that you can't go wrong with. Now the motherboard here is also ways you can save money, but I went with the MSI B450 Gaming Pro Carbon. It's a $130 motherboard, and I do like MSI. They're a good brand, and the Gaming Pro Carbon is one of their most popular model motherboards out there, so you can't really go wrong with this one. And then for the RAM, I went with a G.Skill Trident Z RGB 3600 memory. This one is under $100, so it's a good kit. I have 4 sticks of G.Skill Trident Z on my test bench, and I love them. So G.Skill is an excellent brand for RAM, so that's what I went with. Corsair, you obviously could save money and go with that one if you don't want to go RGB. And then I stuck with the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB for our storage drive. Then I did change the NVMe to my favorite NVMe, which is the Samsung 970 EVO. This is my boot drive in my personal computer, and you can't go wrong with Samsung. This is a 500 gigabyte one, and it's under $100. To me, I think that's still a great value, and if you can swing it, I would spend the extra money on a Samsung drive whenever possible. And then here on the video card, I went with the RTX 2070 Super. This is a $500 card. This is Gigabyte WindForce OC edition. It's 3-fan, so you definitely need a big case that can support that. And there's other cards that I would recommend in its place. Any of the RX 5700 XT aftermarket models, something that came from the add-in board partners like MSI, Power Color. Definitely Sapphire is probably my favorite brand for any of the AMD graphics cards. Sapphire makes some of the best cards out there. Anyway, I went with the RTX 2070 Super. You can save money by going the RX 5700 XT route or just 5700, but 2070 Super is a great card, and I think that's a great price for it as well. Now for the case, you can go really anything that supports ATX motherboards. I went with the NZXT H500 because you really can't beat that case. It's excellent. They do have newer versions of it, but they are exorbitantly priced, so I went with the old and just true H500. You could definitely pick up the H510. Not really much of a difference. Honestly, the H510, I think all they really added that was different is vertical GPU support, which you don't want in that case unless you're doing water cooling, because it's right up against the glass. That is based off of reviews that I've watched from people like Gamers Nexus and Hardware Canucks, some of my favorite reviewers that I trust and watch. To me, going with the H510 wasn't really worth it, so I stuck with the H500. And the power supply, fully modular Seasonic Evo 620 80 plus bronze. Used this power supply quite a bit. I bought them in bulk when Newegg was having a sale on them for, I think it was like $40 or $50. So I bought a bunch of them that I used in previous build videos that I had. So I do like this power supply. It was one of the cheaper modular power supplies that I could find. At $75, $76, I think this is a great power supply for you to go with. And this build does total more than double the budget he gave me. But if he did not give me a budget, this is what I would recommend for any of you that are looking for a more higher end build, something like $1,000 to $1,200. So those are the parts that I picked for you guys. So I'm going to switch it back up top and wrap up this video. Alright guys, so those are all the parts that I picked. Let me know down in the comments if you have any qualms with my reasoning and how I picked the parts, if I should still go with those cheaper parts. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts and opinions as well. If you think you could do better in building a $600 computer, send me your PC part pickers. I'd love to see them. But if you liked the choices I made, I did leave links to Amazon in the description if you want to buy any of the parts that I went over. But I think that is going to wrap up this video, guys. If you liked it, give it a like. If you want to see more from us, hit the subscribe button and the bell, and we'll see you guys in the next video.